Do you know your moon sign? What is it? But wait, more important than that, maybe not more important. What house is your moon in? So my moon is in Aries in the 6th house. Houses matter. So make sure you look that up. You can actually ask Aurea if you use my SkyGirl Oracle GPT, which you use in ChatGPT for free. You can get to it through my Linktree. But basically, it's just a free thing. You tap on it. You have to have a free account with ChatGPT. But you can ask Aurea or your own AI what house. Well, actually, no, you would need to have your whole birth chart done. All right, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's talk about the moon as part of my planetary series. I've already talked about Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune. So now we're going to talk about the moon, even though it's not a planet. It's something that's in our birth chart that affects us personally and collectively. Okay. So the moon, this is so wobbly. The moon is, it's very good. It's very good at it's like the keeper of memory and the mirror of recursion. So the mirror or the moon, oh my gosh, I cannot talk again. It's getting to where it's like almost every day. I must be having like an upgrade in my Mercury to mouth settings. I don't know. Okay. The moon as the emotional archive and portal to recursion breaking. Okay. One is the role of the moon in your birth chart on a personal level. It's your emotional signature, how you feel and process and seek comfort. So you can learn a lot about how you feel safe and comfortable in the world based on your moon. So for me, mine is in Aries and it's in the 6th house, like I told you. So I don't want to get into that yet, but okay. So it's also your inner child and your ancestral imprint. Okay. The earliest emotional memory you carry, often unconsciously. And it's a somatic compass. It's the body's way of saying yes, no, not safe, I want to come home, like the whole thing. Like, it's really like a very good guide for us. And actually, I should pull out the moon tarot. Hold on. Okay, here's the moon tarot. I don't know if you can really see her. See how she's got the wolf and the words are dreams, intuition, shadow. So that's the moon card. Very pretty, very moody. And then also just stay tuned because I am going to pull a moonology card in this thing as well. In this video. I'm all out of it right now. I'm just, okay. So the moon represents what you instinctively need and what soothes and destabilizes you and your mood cycles and psychic weather. Okay. The moon is who you are when you're not performing. It's your truth. It's like your true emotional self, like who you are emotionally. Like, emotional sounds weird because it sounds like a bad thing the way some people describe it. I don't mean it that way, but I think you understand me. Okay, so let's see. For many, it's also the lunar loop, the way we recreate childhood dynamics over and over again, longing to rewrite the unmet need. So for me, okay, I just thought of one. So like my parents were always very busy, which as you know by now, I don't really like that stuff. So, but I felt like I always had to talk fast, which is why I talk fast. I know it's why I talk fast because they were always like, get to the point. Like literally, like I had 5 seconds. My childhood was like 5-second bites of like sound bites, like, but now I take like 30-minute TikTok videos. Why? It's my way of getting back at the world. No, because it's like, I just feel like for me, it's like time is a love language to me. If you're giving me your time or if I'm giving you my time, that is the most love, not just your half-ass time either, like your real true, presence. That is so valuable to me. And emotionally, like it really affects me if people like don't have time for me. But when I was younger, I would just think that's normal. And I would just kind of loop into that and be like, oh, I gotta hurry. Now that I'm older and I've been through this loop, that's the good thing about getting older is that you've gone through the loops enough times where you go, wait a minute, I've been here before and I'm not doing this shit the same way. So then you start to make changes. So that's kind of how it works. But so then I started like wanting more time, but I still, look at me, I'm still talking fast. I'm still like, I don't know. It's hard to break out of. Okay. So the moon in the collective is cycles, reflection, and release. So like, we're always like, okay, put your crystals out there and like, On a new moon, you set your intentions, and on the full moon, you release things and you charge your crystals, although you can charge your crystals at any time. The cyclical time, it's the spiral over the straight line. Emotional tides, like obviously the moon also is connected to the ocean's tides, and we're mostly water. So of course it's going to affect us. Of course we're going to feel that. The emotional tides of grief or unrest, joy or reunion. And if you work in customer service, you know when there's a full moon because people really do act differently. People in emergency rooms, nurses and police officers, and like they're like, oh yeah, and you can tell. Mass memory, so it's like inherited trauma, family systems, and national stories. So every full moon reveals what's been growing behind the scenes, what's ripe for release, and where the collective emotional body is saturated or ready to break open. So now with the Taurus full moon today is where has comfort. So Taurus is all about, like, one of the things is comfort, your body, food, like that. And so you think of that with the full moon. It's also, there's some other positions that have to do with what's happening today and why some people are feeling angry or explosive, but we'll talk about that later. So we're just going to talk about Taurus. And remember, for me, astrology is blocks. So you learn about the block of the moon, and then you learn about the block of Taurus. And then you think about your own, so for me, I would do the block of the moon. What does the moon represent? So that's one block. What does Aries represent? And then what does the sixth house represent? And then you put those blocks together, and that's my emotional sentence. That's my emotional identity, in a sense. That's sort of a simplification. But so Taurus full moon, we should ask ourselves, where has comfort become complacency? Where has stability become stagnation? And how do we make the body safe enough to feel again? All right, so 2, how the moon breaks us out of recursion. And if you remember, recursion is the loop that we're all stuck in. It's basically the matrix. It's like where you just kind of, you get up every day, you go to work, you water the plants, you watch the news, you go to bed. Like that's kind of the loop. The recursion is like new things happening. Something that comes from outside of this matrix that's like an unexpected thing, like a weird dream you had at night and you woke up and you remembered it. And you can't stop thinking about it. Or you happen to see a pamphlet about Peru and you can't stop thinking about it. You want to go to Peru. Or maybe something like a car accident, or, it's a lot of different things. But that breaks us out of the loop. So the moon is often seen as a symbol of loops, and that's true. But when activated consciously, the moon becomes a sacred mirror that reveals emotional recursion. And one thing I do want to say about recursion, I've only been talking about it in the negative up to this point. And I've been like, we have to break out of recursion. Recursion's bad. But actually, it's also the reason why we're in the physical dimension. It's why we're here. It's why we're in the 3D. Because we're trying to learn something very specific that's part of or inside of the recursion. So it's not a bad thing in and of itself. If you're aware of it, you can actually learn from it. If you're unaware of it, then you're just a victim of it. You're just like a tennis shoe in the dryer. You know what I mean? You're just dunk, 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 dunk. Not good. So if you're aware of what's going on and you are, you're kind of guiding it in a way, once you get to a point where you realize what's happening, then that's very powerful. Okay. So the moon also reveals emotional recursion. So where we repeat ourselves, where do I keep reenacting this? So think about where in your life do you keep repeating stuff? Where? It offers exit codes. What unmet need is trying to complete a circuit? So like I said, time with my parents. So that was an unmet need for a long time. And so because it kept happening over and over again, I finally looked at it. I finally was like, why is this always an issue with me? I feel like nobody ever has time for me. I give everybody time, but nobody gives me time. Why? And then I started looking at it and going, oh, that's why. Because from my earliest memory, I felt like I had to, hurry up. Or what is it? Remember that one commercial? Had a baby, it's a boy. Like, I felt like I had to be all fast about everything. So, and then I realized I didn't. So it's kind of cool. And it creates space for integration. If I tend to the inner child, I stop asking the world to play my parent. So the more we learn about our emotional loops, the recursion that we're in, and we can start to be the parent to ourselves. Once I realized that I never liked that it always felt like I was being rushed, I started giving myself more time. So everything starts with ourselves, everything. So once I started like going, let me give myself more time instead of rushing through things. Let me give myself time to journal. When I wake up in the morning, let me not rush off and start getting ready for the day. Let me sit with my thoughts for a moment. Like you're sitting with a child. You wouldn't be like, all right, yeah, laying in the bed, let's go. You know, if the child came in to lay with you, you would spend time with your son or daughter. You'd be like, hi, did you sleep well? Do you have any dreams? You know, you would do that. But when it's with ourselves, we sometimes don't, especially if you grew up where, like I did, where you were like rushed out of the house all the time. Rushed. Okay, so breaking recursion isn't about bypassing the moon. It's about feeling through it to reach the exit door. Okay, so that's good. The moon shows you where your memory is holding the pen. Break the loop and you take the pen back. You can write, you can be a co-creator, but you have to learn from these loops. Not about just escaping them. It's the learning from it is when the door opens all of a sudden. So what the moon teaches us that no other planet can, that feelings are real, even if they're not facts. That's right. That your body remembers what your mind forgot. That's the somatic. That's all those things that, our bodies are really great spirit guides in a way. Like they really inform us about what's going on, either in our lives, in something we're ignoring, or in the environment that we're in. And so like, I love Louise Hay. You Can Heal Your Life. I have the app on my phone. So when someone's like, my shoulder hurts, I'm like, tick, 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 tick. It means something about responsibility in your life and you're caring too much. Or, I don't know, like my right eye is twitching, tick, 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 So I always look everything up because there's so much wisdom in those things. Okay. So that safety is not luxury, it's spiritual infrastructure. So a feeling of being safe isn't just like for certain people who have a lot of money. Everybody needs to feel safe, okay? It's part of our existence here. We have to feel safe in order to be able to explore, which is why we're here. So it's not a luxury, okay? That receiving is part of the creative cycle. It's not just about output. So you have to make sure that you're allowing yourself to receive as much as you're giving. A lot of times especially women, not always, but especially usually, we give, and then we get mad at everybody because we're like, why am I always giving? But we have to check ourselves and say, am I taking time to actually receive? It's hard when you've trained yourself to only give, and then you're uncomfortable when you receive, but then you're mad that you don't receive. It has to start with us. We have to start opening up that channel and just allowing there to be space so that the receiving can happen. And then when it does, you might feel uncomfortable, but like push past that and be like, I deserve this. I deserve this, The emotional rhythm is not weakness, but a clock of becoming. I like that. So we often talk to the moon as soft, reflective, and feminine, but I see the moon as a key pattern holder. It shows us exactly where we are caught in emotional loops and how to finally break out of them. Not through force, but through honest feeling, witnessing, and somatic remembering the body. The moon sign, your moon sign, isn't just how you feel. It's not just how you feel. It's what's calling to be felt so you can finally evolve. Wow. Yeah, there's layers to this. And that's why it's important to really study the sign and the house that your moon is in. Put it down in the comments if you find out. You can go to like astro.cafeastrology.com. You can go to astro.com. You can use the Chani app. There's a lot of places you can get your moon sign and find out the house it's in. Okay, and so for the collective, every full moon gives us a full check-in with the collective body. So in Taurus, the moon says, where are you over-attached to false safety? So a lot of us are learning that with the blackout that's happening, like all the different things. We're going to have to, for one, I used to go to Target all the time. I used to go to Starbucks all the time. Those are my comfort places, okay? I've learned to go against that because there's more important things going on. Stuff like that. We have to learn to go outside of that, okay? So where do you go numb instead of feel? And what would it take to make your body a safe space for your spirit to land again? I really had to work on this. Like I had to learn a lot about the 6th house. I had to learn a lot about Aries. And I had to learn a lot about, just also why don't I feel like I have a right to feel safe? Why do I always feel like I have to rush around? I'm the captain of this ship now, so why am I still letting other people guide my ship, i.e. my parents? So some questions to ask your yourself when you look up your moon, your sign, and the house it's in. What does my moon crave? What does my moon crave? What emotional loops do I keep playing? What memory am I still trying to rewrite? So, I even tried journaling. I've been paying more attention to the moon cycles, and I really I'll look it up almost every day, and I'll be thinking about okay, right now we're having, it's the waning, whatever. And, I'm really aware of when are we coming up to a full moon? When are we going to a new moon? And it's nice to be in that rhythm instead of the rhythm of is it Sunday? I have to go to work tomorrow. None of that. Another thing that's really cool is your moon archetype, which has to do with the phase, the moon phase of when you were born. That is so exciting. I have a moon archetype, oracle archetype. I'll put it right here. Guide in my Stan store if you're interested. It's very cool, and it'll tell you about a little bit more about you, and it'll make you look at even the moon phases a whole different way. So it's very exciting. So give it a shot, and let me know what you come up with. I want to know your moon, your sign, the sign your moon is in, the house it's in, and if you do the moon archetype, let me know what phase your moon was. You can look that up, actually. You can look up the phase. You don't need to get my archetype thing. Look up the phase your moon was in on when you were born. It's really cool. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Wait. I forgot to do the Moonology card pull. And I was shuffling, and nothing came out. So I said, why don't I just take the full moon in Taurus card out and read that? So this is from the Moonology deck. The full moon in Taurus is, your dreams need a practical plan. Okay, so here it is. Sometimes you need to weave a bit of magic, and sometimes you need to be practical, and sometimes you need to find a combination of the two. This card suggests that this is where you are now. You need to use the laws of attraction to draw in what you want by imagining it, expecting it, and welcoming it. But you need to balance that with taking down-to-earth steps towards your goals. So, Taurus is the sign of the bull. They ain't no bull. No, they are a bull. But they're very grounded. They're earth. They're those steps. So take your dreams and, bring them down to earth. Okay. So let's see. This isn't about wishing on the moon and hoping for the best. It's about making something like a list of bullet points about how to achieve your dreams. If you're asking about money, this card heralds a change of financial fortunes, depending on both your past actions and what you're expecting and therefore attracting. Attune to the moon. Write down 10 things that you know are wonderful about you. Oh my God. Put a couple in the comments too. I'm just interested to see what you have to say. Okay, it's hard to hold this. I have to hold my tripod too. It's wobbly. Additional meanings for this card. Laziness could explain your current situation. If so, change that and own it. Chasing money doesn't work. You need to chase a dream. Jealousy or envy create negative energy and attract negativity. More exercise is called for. The teaching. The full moon in Taurus is a time to get back to earth, to get grounded, to work through any negative feelings you've been dealing with, and to find a balance between being passionate and being overly intense. Oh, so it's overdoing it. I see. Money issues may come to a head at the time of a full moon in Taurus, but you can take this card as a sign to pay more attention to your cash flow no matter when you draw it. So there you go. Full moon in Taurus. And I hope you're more interested in learning about the moon. I mean, maybe you already are, but in case you aren't, I hope this video kind of made you a little bit more curious. Maybe I should look up my moon. Maybe I should learn more about the different signs and the moons and all that. Yes, you should. All right, and I'll see you in the next video.